Are pets becoming more than just companions? Tune in as I, Dr. Carra and Victoria Laval explore the rising trend of the humanisation of pets and its profound impact on our lives. Hello pet enthusiasts and welcome back for another episode of the Paws Effect Podcast. This time, we're peeling back the layers of the pet-human connection in South Africa. As pets are treated like family members, we explore the rising trend of pet humanisation. And that's not all wagging tails and purrs. We'll also venture into the fascinating world of limitations, particularly in health, behaviour and welfare. I'm Dr. Carra, a veterinarian with a passion for pets, and today we're embarking on a fascinating journey. Joining us is Victoria Laval, a CMI executive and expert in the pet industry. Victoria, thank you. So welcome back. Thank you, Victoria. The first part was fascinating. You've got really great stats and great information on the general pet landscape after you conducted a survey in South Africa. Thank you for sharing that information. I think it's valuable content, and I think we can tap into a lot of the need states from that. So really useful information for me and for brands and vets and all pet owners, I think.
I'm glad.
Very cool. So one of the aspects that I found particularly interesting was this emerging trend, or this buzzword of humanization, pet humanization in particular. What does it mean? And sort of how did you come across this in terms of differentiating it from people who are ultimately disengaged with their pets?
I mean, we actually found it to be quite a growing trend in the study. And what it was coming across and what it means is that they're not pet owners, they're pet parents. Regardless if your pet is someone who is a child in your family, or if it is someone who's just part of the family, or potentially sometimes if you're even someone who has that emotional connection but you don't even see it as part of the family, you might still buy into this trend. So just taking a few steps backwards. So when we were doing the study, we did actually see, and we did speak about it a little bit earlier, we did actually see some, I'm calling them typologies, a few typologies emerging with our pet owners, and they're kind of on a continuum. So the first one that I'll start off with is more about the disengaged. So these are pet owners who a dog or a cat has come into their lives, potentially just being a stray, and they don't really have an engagement with them. It's just there in their household. They'll feed it whatever every day, keep it alive, but it's just there. That is such a small percentage of people who fall into this category. Like, I would even say it's as small as about 3%. Wow. And then you realize how much people are engaged with their pets coming onto that. So the next kind of on the continuum will be our functional pet owner. And these are people, and they are mostly dog pet owners that fall into the space, and they will generally have it for something like safety and security in their home, or if they need it as a sort of medical dog for some purpose or support or whatever. So that's the kind of role that animal will play. With cats, it might be there to rid the house of rats and mice, so they have a very functional role in the house. There is a low level of connection with these consumers. There is, I said previously, it's about 20% of pet owners will fall into the space. And then we start to see this real emotional connection coming through. And then we have our next, our pet owner, we called it the emerging connection, because they're generally quite new pet owners. They haven't grown up with animals in their house. They've probably been brought up with a lot of cultural things on pets at play, and they're starting to develop this emerging relationship with their pets, and this is where we love to connect, where you can start seeing humanization starting to form. So they are about over 10% of our pet owners fall into the space, and then we see on the continuum going along that then it becomes that family pets. So, and you'll start to see yourself in these different types of typologies. You'll be like, yes, I have a dog in my house and it's only for safety and security. Oh yes, I am that. It's a family pet for me. I love my animal. I will do anything for my animal. So a family pet is someone who will do anything for their pets. They see it as part of their family. They do see it as a cat or a dog. They don't see it as a child, but that's the kind of distinction. And then we see this fur child, and this makes up the bulk, the fur child and the family pet. That's almost like 65% of our consumers fall into these kind of categories. Wow. And a fur child is definitely someone who is like a child. They treat it like a child. Humanization is core to them. So they want, for example, food to look like tasty and appetizing. So if they're just feeding their dry pellets to their animal, they're like, this is boring. I want this to have some gravy on it. I want to zhuzh up the meals every night. I want to add some flavor. So they often will take their food as well, or their gravy or whatever they've had, and add it to the meal to kind of, it's more for us to make it more appetizing for their pets. I know when I go shopping, I get bored when I only see my cat can eat tuna or chicken, and I would be like, can we just offer some more flavors for my cat, because I would just get bored of just eating the one thing. And it's kind of like your own perceptions and your own feelings and what you think is important. You kind of put it on to your pet, because they're part of your family, and you feel like your needs should be their needs as well.
Welcome back to Just for Pets. You're with Dr. Carra.
Hi, Doc. It's Justin the Jack Rossi here, and boy am I itchy.
Are you on a hypoallergenic diet?
Hyper what now?
Changing to a special diet will really help. And Just for Pets have a massive range. And flea and tick medication, special shampoo.
Ooh, how quick can you get some?
Order today and we'll deliver pronto.
I feel better already.
Justforpets.co.za. Vet approved, pet adored. Get it all to your door.
Let's get back to our conversation on the Paws Effect podcast. Is this something that we should be encouraging? Obviously from a vet perspective, I get quite concerned. I mean, I can relate to it. Certainly I can. My connection with my pets is definitely evolving, and I love the product innovation, things that tap into a lot of that behavior. But obviously with the vet hat on, it does make me a bit concerned that there are going to be nutritional issues, whether it's weight gain or people not meeting nutrient requirements and deficiencies resulting from people, for example, thinking they can formulate their own food when we find it difficult to do it ourselves for our own family. But also in terms of the behavioural aspect, so the hierarchy that used to be established in the household with pets knowing their place, now that fur baby, that fur child. Did you see any signs of this when you were talking to people who identified as being this humanized sort of wanting and desire to have their pets, for example, in their beds?
So we did see it on the food side. So we did see like people obviously giving milk to their cats, giving different kind of human food that I know, because speaking to vets, that you shouldn't be giving to your pets, or mixing it in to make it more delicious tasting, well, for them, that they would think was delicious tasting for their pets. We also saw that knowledge gap, that they don't know what is nutritious or not, and that playing a role. So we did see it a lot in the food space. So I think that's where your voice, the vet's voice, becomes really important, to kind of give them this knowledge, education on what. If you're following this trend, they still have certain needs as animals. They need to get certain nutritional value into their diet. They still also have behavioral needs that they need to do. So in the behavior space, we didn't. I mean, I don't know if bathing with your pit bull is normal, but
tell us if people miss part one, and I would encourage them to listen to it. Tell us a little bit more about the pit bull and the bathing.
So we were speaking to one consumer, and he was just trying to. He loved his pit bull. He actually called it, and I'm probably saying the name differently, but like Tootsie. The whole time, and referred to it, and it kind of made his pit bull. It took away all that stigma around a pit bull being aggressive when it had a name like that. But he was also saying, it's such a lovely dog. She loves the family, part of the family. She even baths with him and his daughter. So to me, that was like, that may be a little bit far.
You don't bath with your cats.
I wouldn't even attempt bathing with my cats, because that would be a very scary, bloody mess at the end. But yeah, so. I think there is maybe that's normal and stuff, and you take it to that extreme. But I do think there could be issues, or as you were saying, like boundaries sort of blurring, or I do have sometimes fears with my cats that the cats will that my kids will get to like forget about that they are an animal and have animal instincts, and if something they don't like, they will attack them and hurt them or whatever. And it's not the animal's fault. It's their instinct to defend themselves or
We see quite a few behavioural issues with pets allowed in the bed, for example. So they'll attack the husband when he tries to get into bed because they've got a connection to the wife. So there is a concern that obviously with the knowledge gap that these kind of issues can arise. And your example of wanting to make food seem more appealing, the addition of things like gravies. A lot of gravies contain onions or garlic, and those potential toxicity risks with feeding human food that people are not aware of. Grapes and dogs and cats don't go well. So I worry that with the knowledge gap and without people sort of taking on an informed sort of educational sort of content that we're hoping we're going to be providing through this podcast, that there are going to be risks to our pets with the humanization of them.
And it's like, how far do you take humanization to? If you're doing stuff to your pet that you would do for yourself, and maybe the pet doesn't actually like it or whatever, it's not natural to them. So do you think there are those kind of elements that come? You could see it in some trends that people were speaking about, and even as people were speaking out, and I'm assuming and I'm really hoping that it was like fake tattoos that they heard about, animals getting tattoos on them and stuff to kind of like zhuzh them up for their Instagram pictures and things. So it's how far do you take that, and what is the right information that we give to consumers?
So what were some of the things? So you mentioned the tattoos. What were some of were they buying special items other than the maybe potentially trying to formulate foods or trying to add additional things? What other trends were you seeing within this space?
So we weren't seeing the really, really big trends with when consumers spoke about it. But if you actually go and do some research online and stuff, you do see a lot of food trends coming. So like, designing treats to kind of look like toys, or to stimulate like play with your children, and those kind of things. I mean, the latest one was that protein powder for your dogs. I mean, that's crazy. So when consumers spoke about it, they would speak about more like the things that we know, like medical aid and buying into medical aid and having medical aid for your pets, or some sort of accident benefits. Taking your the cutest thing is I belong to my community group at it's not a pet group in my area, and somebody once posted something saying, please, if anybody has any dogs that would like to come to my house for a play date. So even like play dates for your dogs were like trends that we are kind of seeing,
and those are positive trends, certainly, and including that I want to take my dog away with me, so people having that connection that they're actually making their pets part of their lives. So there's a lot of positive to it, which I can only encourage.
And I think also having your pet is like an emotional support. So that is also, they become their confidant, their therapist, someone that they can download onto when they come home. And if you're like me, your pet speaks back to you. So you know the answer, the answer to your questions. And I was speaking to some experts in pet care in America, and one of the big trends that they are seeing is a lot of people are reclassifying their dogs or their cats as medical cats and dogs, so that they actually can fly with them on the airplane and they can always be with their pets. So, with travel, you want to travel. You don't want your dog or cat to sit down with the bags in the plane. You want to have the seat beside you.
Absolutely. And if you can take them with you, why not, to make them part of your life? And I think we're definitely seeing a trend for hotels offering accommodation and restaurants advertising that people are welcome to bring their dogs, and they often provide little puppuccinos or
like even dog menus. I've had a friend who opened up a store in Johannesburg, and they had a full-on dog a dog menu, and it actually made me want to go and adopt a dog so I can start taking these things and be in on the trend and be one of the cool kids.
A little sample, 5-course taste testing. Very cute. And also the daycares. I mean, when some of those are probably put in place because people don't want to leave their pets at home, or they're seeing the result of leaving their pets in terms of destructive or bad sort of behavior in terms of being on their own during the day when people are working. So a lot of positive things coming from it.
And I know a lot of it is more for our affluent consumer who are tapping into these trends, but we also did see it with our mid-income consumers as well as a Kazi consumer. And what was quite interesting is one of our consumers fed back going, she has a dog and she dresses up her dog and she lives in the township, and if you've ever heard this, the saying cheese boy, she's like, people are like, I have a cheese pet or a cheese dog.
Cheese dog.
So I thought that was really cute. And
cute. Did she push it around in a pram?
I think that was her goal.
I love that. So would you dress up your cats?
If they let me, I do have a Christmas hat that they sometimes get forced to wear, but
no, okay, just for one photo.
Not just for one photo. If I can make it.
I must say, what I do like about it is the desire to try and meet pets' needs. So, for me, again, talking behavioural stuff of sort of going, I want them to feel calm, I want them to feel relaxed. I'm going to try and meet their needs and anticipate their needs, particularly for things like fireworks or. You've got family visiting, there are pheromones and calming things that you can offer your pets. And I think possibly just a different level of respect for your household pets when you have visitors or guests are like, well, I'm going to try and meet the needs of my pets as well. So that's people are stepping up, and I like that. And now, a word from our amazing sponsors who make the Paws Effect podcast possible. To make a promise implies trust. To make a pledge creates expectation. And to make a commitment initiates responsibility. For more than 25 years, we have made it our mission to take the ifs, buts, and maybes out of premium pet food. That's why our experts put the best science behind our food, so your pet's health is put first. That's why when you seek value, we strive to give you more, like protecting your pets with our free accident benefits. And when you need great tasting food, our fresh meat taste delivers. You see, what sets us apart is not one thing, it's all these things combined. Because we understand that when it comes to your pet's health, you don't want doubt and uncertainty, you want absolutes, the absolute best given your means, like premium veterinary quality food of real value that doesn't cost an arm and a paw. So, rest assured that any claim we make, we stand by. It's our commitment to your pets and our promise to you. In fact, we're so confident in what we stand for that we have made the ultimate promise to you. It's called the Ultra Pet Promise, 100% money-back guarantee, a no ifs, no buts, and no maybes kind of promise. We call it our satisfaction guarantee. Let's get back to our conversation on the Paws Effect podcast.
And what did also surprise me is how many people are thinking about the emotional well-being of their pet. And people buying supplements. That did come through in our research. People buying supplements for their pets, for mental, and people even buying specialized mental like dog or cat food. So that came through did surprise me. I didn't think it would be so low when it came through, and it was a little bit higher than it was still quite low, but still higher than I expected.
And there's so many things people can do, whether it's look into daycares or even put food rather than maybe formulating food, which I obviously have an opinion on, being very keen on nutrition, but having the stimulating toys and things that they can use in order to get their pets more engaged and meet some of those needs when they're away from them. So there are some really cool things out there. And your feelings on, do you think this is going to just be an increasing trend, or do you think
it's definitely a growing trend? It's informing a lot. It's informing, marketing decisions, innovation. Every week you see something new out there coming for dogs and cats. So I definitely think this is a growing trend.
So people are tapping into this.
We're probably actually a little bit far, and it's still quite big in South Africa. I would say that at least 20% of our sample that we spoke to are on this trend, and they're looking for humanization. And I would say that would even grow much further in the next few years.
And I suppose that influences a lot of the communication, the language that you use from a marketing perspective, in order to try and relate to people and engage with them and understand their feelings about their pets. I mean, certainly speaking to my vet colleagues, it's actually quite critical to to be reminded that there is a changing feeling about how people view their pets. When it comes to decisions like euthanasia, or they're not well, and sort of what they can do, especially as there are still the financial limitations. And I'm quite interested to hear from you sort of the kind of money people are spending on their pets based on this new trend. But I think it's really important for us to, as professionals, to understand and actually engage with our clients differently, because they've got a connection that is real. And they want their pets to be viewed as potentially not more important than their children, but equally as important as their children sometimes. So.
And I think that's where a lot of the tension points come in with consumers, is that they want to be able to get the best nutrition for their pets. But then reality sets in and they have to make compromises. Sometimes it's mixing food, sometimes it's feeding scraps. But the intention there is generally to give the best nutrition I can for my pets at a budget that allows me. The other tension that does come through on it is, like even with medical aid, we found that usership very low. And it's not because people don't want to buy medical aid for their pets or be able to give it the best healthcare and go to a vet when it needs to. It's that they're struggling, and often that cash needs to go for somewhere else. So at the end of the day, it's, cash and what I need and my budget dictates, and, medical aid is a little bit out there for me, for my pets. I'm struggling to do it for myself and my family. So there are priorities that need to come into play. And I think that is, how do we work around those, and how do we give medical aid benefits or allow them access to vets, and how do we kind of do that so that they can give the best for the pet, which consumers generally want to do.
Absolutely. And I mean, that's one thing that I do, plugging UltraPet, I do love about UltraPet, is that they offer that free accident cover, which is a great benefit. And it's listening to what people are asking for, which is help with trying to meet some of those needs. And I think those kind of things, and just making decisions around, marketing or products, manufacturing products, or even labeling and visual sort of artwork and things can really appeal to people and help. Very fascinating. And so, when are you hoping to do another study?
So at the moment we are kind of communicating a lot of this study to people in the business, to our suppliers, to our agencies. Generally in such a big study like this, we'll do it every 3 to 5 years. There will be elements of it that we obviously update, especially if the category is changing quite rapidly. We want to stay on top of stuff. We want to stay on top of the consumer. We want to stay on top of trends. So trends is an ever ongoing, every year, every day kind of thing. But we would probably update the study in 3 years' time. And if we do start seeing a real big market shift in our sales or in what we're seeing out there, then obviously we would update it a lot earlier. What we are hoping to do is take some of these learnings and findings and methodologies and actually go to our different countries and stuff and kind of apply the same thing and get those kind of learnings in it. So it can be much broader than South Africa.
So it's refining some of these studies and actually applying them in other areas.
Yeah.
Fascinating. It'll be very interesting to make comparisons. I'm obviously itching for the next ones because I'd love to see how things are changing. But I think it's such valuable information. There's been so much. I was so excited to talk to you because there's so much to gain from a business perspective as well as sort of a connection perspective with your clients and your own pets and understanding the limitations. I think there's great education opportunity here.
And I mean, for me, I can speak about this forever. There's every time you see, and you can, we'll still even do more research now. So obviously if we unpack something and we've seen a learning and we want to understand more, we might go in and dig a little deeper and really go and understand that consumer a little bit deeper. It could be within a channel, it could be within, humanization trends. We may want to update that in the next year and see how that's evolved and see if it's grown or shrunk or whatever. So, those kind of learnings, that there will always be adding more data points and more research and more understanding to us.
That's great. And I hope that I get the opportunity to
and I'd love to share it. So yes, definitely.
Well, thank you so much. It's been really informative and I'm very excited to see what's coming out next and for some more learnings. Thank you so much for your time, Victoria.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks. So cool. I know we could go on forever. Thank you, listeners, for joining us on this enlightening exploration of the evolving human-pet bond here on the Paws Effect podcast. As we wrap up, let's reflect on the insights we've uncovered. The trend of humanization is undeniably shaping the way we view and care for our furry companions. Our journey through this episode has unveiled a fascinating evolution in the pet world. It's an opportunity to deepen our bonds, treating them as integral family members. However, it's not a one-sided tale. We've delved into the limitations too, concerns about behavior, welfare, and nutrition that arise with this growing trend. I want to express my sincere appreciation for our guest, Victoria Laval, for not only shedding light on these aspects, but also sharing her personal views on pet ownership. Your expertise and insights have truly enriched our discussion. And don't forget to like this if you find it helpful and subscribe for more. Join us next time as we continue to explore the dynamic world of pets and their place in our lives. Until then, give your pets a hug from me. We have an exciting announcement to make. We are looking for guest speakers who are passionate about the pet industry and sponsors to support future episodes. Are you an expert in pet training, nutrition, or behavior? Maybe you're a veterinarian with insights to share, a pet store owner with unique experiences, or a pet product inventor. We want to hear from you. The Paws Effect Podcast is a platform for industry professionals like you to showcase your knowledge, experiences, and stories. As a guest speaker on our podcast, you'll have the opportunity to share valuable information, engage with our audience, and have your voice heard in the pet community. Whether you want to discuss training techniques, emerging pet care trends, or the importance of mental stimulation for pets, we want to feature you and your expertise. So, if you're passionate about pets and have something to say, we invite you to join us on an upcoming episode of the Paws Effect Podcast. But wait, that's not all. The Paws Effect Podcast is also seeking sponsors to support our mission of educating and entertaining pet lovers worldwide. By becoming a sponsor, you'll gain exposure to our engaged audience and have your brand associated with the love and care that we have for our four-legged friends. If you own a pet-related business, offer pet products or services, or simply want to align your brand with our pet-loving community, we'd love to partner with you. As a sponsor, your brand will be featured prominently in our episodes and our social media channels. It is a great opportunity to showcase your offerings to a dedicated audience of pet enthusiasts. So whether you're an expert in the pet industry looking to share your knowledge, or a business seeking to reach a pet-loving audience, we want to hear from you. To apply as a guest or to inquire about becoming a sponsor of the Paws Effect podcast, please contact me at drcarra@pawsandeffect.co.za. Get in touch and let's discuss the various opportunities. Thank you for joining us today. We can't wait to welcome our future guest speakers and sponsors to the Paws Effect podcast. Remember, every episode is an opportunity to celebrate our four-legged friends.